Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones podcast, episode number 8.
Yeah, 8.
Today's date, 11/13/2017. My name is Doug Smith. With me, as always, Mr. Nathan Jones. Say hello, Nathan.
Hey, everybody. It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks.
Very suitable, very suitable. And we also have an distinguished guest with us.
Doctor.
Just Steven.
Just Steven. No. You spent a lot of time and energy trying to get those extra initials. You got to cop up to it.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Super stoked.
Glad to have you. So we've been having some chaotic scheduling as far as this podcast and everything. We typically try to do it every 2 weeks on a Friday. I've been busy. You've been busy. Stuff just happened. So we're broadcasting on a Monday today.
Woo! Garfield.
So a lot of things have happened, as always.
Oh, geez.
For predominantly one of the biggest news stories in media right now is sexual assaults and allegations, things like that. It seems like every day we wake up, there's a new person in the news that's getting lambasted or labeled as a assaulter or assaultee.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about Weinstein a little bit, just like briefly, like we just barely touched on it. But since then, we got Louis C.K., we got
Kevin Spacey,
and I feel like there's like Brand New. I know we're going into music territory, but the singer for Brand New, there's just everyone.
Yeah. So a lot of this has really affected their career and Hollywood as a general. We mentioned Kevin Spacey. He was accused of sexually assaulting 14 different men throughout his career. Spacey released a statement of apology, but said he didn't remember the specific accused incidents. He also formally came out as a gay man in this statement. And as a result, House of Cards was pulled from the production schedule and is kind of in limbo. I forget that he was also in a movie that he was filming right now.
Well, with Ridley Scott. It was Ridley Scott's new movie.
A big budget movie, and they basically blacklisted him and pulled him off the film. And they've already said this is going to cost them millions of dollars in reshoots, but they're still going to move forward with it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You think that's I think that's the right thing to do. I mean, it's a hard thing to really talk about. But this actually got me thinking, because I knew we were probably going to talk about this today. I had posed a question for both of you as well. The question of like separating the art from the artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, because like, for instance, I mean, if any of you out there have seen anything on like Ben or Casey Affleck, both of them are kind of scumbags in real life.
Yeah, they're from Jersey. It's to be expected.
Yeah, well, with their accent and everything,
Yeah.
Or but and they've also had accusations. At least Casey has
several.
However, like Casey's been in a lot of really great films lately that I really enjoy. Like from Manchester by the Sea, even A Ghost Story that I really enjoy, and it reminds me thinking about all these people. So like Kevin Spacey or even like Louis C.K. I know Louis C.K.'s movie was pulled too.
Yes,
like it was dropped. But to me, it's like Louis C.K. is a really funny guy, and I still like you can watch his comedy specials and separate that from the artist himself. The same with Kevin Spacey. I can still watch American Beauty and love that movie, even though it's like kind of ironic how no spoilers, but how the dad and the Kevin's like that's a weird connection there.
Yeah,
it's just odd. What do you think?
I am capable of separating the artist from the art. There's several actors and actresses that I'm a fan of their work who I think are deplorable human beings, and I wouldn't want to meet them or have any interaction with them whatsoever if I saw them across the street or anything like that. But it is unfortunate that a lot of these appear to have been going on for the entire span of their career. It wasn't just a one-time inexcusable incident. It was a career length worth of horrible transgressions and just terrible incidents.
What do you think?
I'm the same way. I can separate them. I think that even though they may be as people very dark-sided, that they can still do great things. It's just once it just kind of changes your perspective of should they continue working and giving us great work, or should we hold them accountable for what we now know about them?
Yeah. So neither of you are of the mindset of like, say Steven Spielberg was the next name tomorrow.
Yeah.
That you would never watch a Spielberg film again.
No.
You would burn all his works. Okay, good. myself included. Yeah.
I mean, Steven brings up a good point because it made me think also. Now they may be doing great work, and I was thinking about potentially like trauma in the past for some of these people may have had some kind of trauma that existed in their own life where this is how it affected them obviously in the real world, or they have some kind of power trip of some sort. I mean, that's obviously with Harvey Weinstein. But I was thinking, do you think that some of these like traumas or something that happened in the past maybe push them to the edge of the creative content, so like they're actually better than their peers when it comes to creative outlooks? Like, so if like a tragedy happens, you're able to write something better. You're able to come up with better things that normal people aren't allowed to tap into because they've experienced some kind of thing.
It's highly likely. I'm trying to think. I'm
not trying to defend all this. I'm just saying.
The guy, I'm drawing a blank, and he's going to drive me crazy. Massive character actor, Last of the Mohicans.
Oh, Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis. So, like, if something came out tomorrow, I would say absolutely that lends credibility to your theory because he is, an extremely prolific character actor. He dives into the character and he seems, to be in spades farther advanced than the rest of his acting peers. But you don't see, technically at this moment, we haven't seen any allegations of him.
Well, his personal life is so solitary. He avoids it to death. Like when people ask him about questions, like I've seen interviews with him, he's just like, "So you're going to be a cobbler, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to be a cobbler, and it's all about that, and I'm not going to tell anything else about that."
So, I mean, there may be something to your theory that there's, eccentricities in their personal life that allows them to kind of like really advance past people as far as their creative outlooks.
Yeah, I would agree too, and I think just being in Hollywood or being on the scene, there's just things that are done and known of that we just don't know as public that they get to experience. Some things affect them for good, some not for not so good, and I think that there's so many other people involved. There's so many things that we still don't know. We just know that these people have been named, but then you think about who they work for, who spends a lot of time with them, who already knows of this stuff. Their names won't get called. They'll just kind of continue working and go to the next person, and some of these things will still continue. So,
I mean, Matt Damon got attacked for that.
Yes.
So did George Clooney. I mean,
right.
They had to kind of defend themselves because, I mean,
they didn't blow the whistle.
But also, like, Suburbicon, besides it being not a great movie, fun fact to everyone, I've already talked about that, but, like, it took some blows on them.
Yeah, well, it's the guilt by association, too.
Right. And you were, I know that Doug is going to talk about this a little bit later, but you met someone this weekend that distanced himself from a certain someone.
I did. So I went to a comic convention over the weekend, and I got to meet Kevin Smith. And Kevin Smith had actually made a career off of Harvey Weinstein.
Miramax, for sure.
Yeah, Miramax. So that's kind of where he got his start, and a lot of his successful movies that he's known for came from that, producing house. So he actually, when this first started with Harvey Weinstein and the accusations before Harvey had actually stepped down and actually got removed, I forget if he actually stepped down or if he got fired first.
I'm pretty sure everyone.
But before that actually happened, Kevin actually got in front of it and he said, "Look, this is terrible." He's like, I didn't understand that any of this was going on. He's like, there's nothing in our professional careers that ever let him believe that this was going on and Harvey was this type of person. He said, in all his professional, interactions with the guy, he was a little weird, but he just kind of expected that of people in that high profile position. But Kevin went on and said he was going to donate all of his profits moving forward for those films that he made with the Weinstein Company, which is 90% of his career essentially. Luckily he's got other avenues nowadays where he's got massive streams of income, but
very bold statement.
Very bold statement. He didn't have to do that. It's above and beyond what I would have expected or anticipated from anybody in his position. And I mentioned it to him when I met him. I said, "Hey, I just got to commend you. I thought it was amazing what you did." I'm like, "You didn't have to do that. You really set a standard that, unfortunately, I don't think the rest of Hollywood's going to follow."
No.
Right.
But I'm like, you are leading by example, and I appreciate it greatly. And he really, you could tell he was very pleased to hear that, and he gave me a big hug, and he was a super nice guy.
It seemed pretty like he was a humble,
very humble guy.
He
was getting ushered to and from different engagements at the convention, people would, hey, can I get a picture? He's like, absolutely. And they're like, no, we got to go. He's like, I got time for everybody. So he was like, here, give me the phone. He's like, I want to show you the good angles or whatever. So he's taking people's phone, taking the pictures for them and everything. Very nice guy. Went above and beyond for everybody. Made sure he shook everyone's hand, talked to him for a little bit, gave him a hug. Very nice guy. So that's definitely an example of how to handle a situation like this. Yeah. Last question before we go on to something else.
Sure.
Where do you think these people that are part of this allegation, where do you think their careers go? Do you think they're completely over?
I think for some it will end. I think others will have to probably wait it out a little bit and reformulate their careers, come back in a new way, and address the issue. I think just right now, because of how society's set up, if you don't really address it the right way, which is kind of the issue Kevin Spacey ran into, didn't talk about it the right way. Yeah. So I think they just have to take their moment, get out of the limelight, really think about how they want to return to the Hollywood scene and do it appropriately.
Yeah,
and I thought of Rob Lowe.
Yeah,
with this particular incident, he's come back real strong.
I was about to say, if Hollywood's told us anything, is that we're forgiving people.
Sure.
You've got Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
his multiple drug issues.
Johnny Depp too.
Johnny Depp. I mean, a lot of these people have had issues and then taken time off, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally.
Yeah, and
they've come back bigger and better than ever.
So who knows? I mean, maybe in old age. I mean, it's the same with Roman Polanski. I know he had some accusations back in the 60s and 70s, but he's still making films and overseas because he's going to get arrested if he comes over in the United States.
Because he has warrants outstanding.
Warrants but I'd like to think that it might be because our society is forgiveful, but also at the same time, I think most of us don't really. Most of us we live in the now so much that we don't really think about the past so much. And
we're a very forgive and forget society.
Yeah, so like with Rob Lowe, obviously that all those stuff happened in my formative years. I didn't really know who he was, and when I was about 9 or 10, I watched Wayne's World, and he was like the bad guy.
He's the bad guy.
He's the bad guy in that movie. But I didn't know anything about him, and then I didn't really know about him until really Parks and Rec. And when that was happening, I was his comeback. Yeah. And so when people kind of forgave me, and I didn't even know anything about it until I looked back at it. I'm like, oh my god, geez. And then there was a big deal. So. Yeah.
All right. On some more positive news, let's turn it on its head a little bit. Okay, so there's big news that came out over last week, Star Wars news. So this was very exciting because this was kind of out of left field. A lot of people suspected that this would be in the future. They just didn't expect it to actually be announced. But the news that Rian Johnson's going to get to create and direct his own new trilogy, so to speak. I mean, it's not going to be the canonical Star Wars that we're used to. No one knows, we assume there's still going to be Jedi or something like that. But this is not going to be, the Skywalker space opera any longer. This is going to be, new characters, new plots. Could be in the future, could be in the past. Who knows? People keep speculating that it might be, Old Republic.
That's what
That's what people hope.
Yeah. New hope.
Yeah.
It's a new hope. Here.
A new hope. Yeah. But it's definitely exciting. It's good to see that they're definitely investing. We all knew once Disney bought the franchise that they were going to spare no expense and they were going to market the bejesus out of this. So, what do you think? We haven't got to see Rian Johnson's new work, The Last Jedi, yet. We're a month and a half, or right about a month.
If Disney's already given him,
so they're obviously happy with
the new one.
Plus, he's got creative carte blanche, so he gets to write and direct the first one, and then he's got creative control over the second and third. So, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. What do you think?
This is new news for me. I'm excited. I think that it is a good direction. I'm not surprised either, like you said earlier, that Disney would want to go and redo everything, expand. But I think it re-energizes for a new generation to continue the love for Star Wars, but to have something fresh, a new story to kind of start a new dynasty of new franchises. And I love it.
I hope I hope if they go in the future or in the past, and I know they said none of the stuff that was written is canonical anymore, which is kind of BS. But because there's some great stuff in there. I hope that they introduce some characters.
Well, they've kind of dipped their toes in that
Bane.
water. That would be cool. Because once they got rid of the extended universe, like you said, they pissed off a lot of people that had years and years, invested in these characters of the extended universe. But recently, last year on Star Wars Rebels, they brought in Grand Admiral Thrawn, who's a big bad, to-do guy in the extended universe. So
they also talked about Bane a little bit more as well too.
They've mentioned it, so it's a possibility. But I don't envy the man because that is a daunting task.
Sure.
You basically grew up watching George Lucas films and, loving that, and now you get to be said George Lucas positioned where you get to carte blanche create it. I mean, all you have is, maybe some reference notes that George Lucas, stashed away somewhere. But even then you're like, you know what? This is what I had in my head when I was watching that as a kid Saturday mornings, in my pajamas. This is what I want to see, unfold.
I'm sure he's going to get some good writers.
Oh, absolutely.
On this thing. And that's what, I mean, lately, what I've noticed with a lot of the movies I've watched, the writers are just like, and obviously directing it is, what makes the final product. However, the story needs to be compelling enough to, follow through. And we're kind of past the point of, the 1970s and 80s of the, like, big giant universe. We have this really established universe. It's very established.
Yep.
And so that's where you're coming in, like, there's a lot of expectations from a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, there's more people that are more familiar with the Star Wars storyline than there are the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. As sad as that is for society, it's also very factual. But other than that, today I saw a news thing that I sent you that this kind of caught me by surprise. That is, Amazon Prime announced that they're going to have a Lord of the Rings stream-only television program. And this is going to take place prior to the Lord of the Rings.
Prior to. They're not, hey, everybody. Initially, when I heard about this, because it was like a couple weeks ago when they had kind of announced talking about it.
But I didn't think they were, a week and a half later going to say, yep, we did it. We're going to do it.
Yeah. And luckily, it's going to be prior to the trilogy, so they're not really touching Peter Jackson's work. They can touch The Hobbit. I don't mind them redoing The Hobbit again, because those movies were kind of meh. But do not touch the masterpieces of Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King. So those things are just... Yeah,
well, obviously they're going to have a different type of budget.
Sure,
Granted, it's Amazon, so they've got money to spend, but still, they're not going to spend $1 billion on this new television show. I've only watched 3 Amazon Prime original streaming shows. So far, they've all been great. Really well production value, and I think that's going to be the very linchpin of this series is what's it look like? Does it look cheesy? Does it look cheap?
Yeah.
Are you spending 45 minutes of your episode on New Zealand showing Hobbit Shire land just because it's cheaper to do that as opposed to special effects and costumes and things like that? I wonder if
they're going to utilize the Weta Workshop that originally was what they had in the Fellowship. I'm like, if you work with them, do practical effects. Amazon, if you're listening, do practical effects. Do not use much CGI because I don't know. This is just from one guy, but I'm annoyed.
Yeah. Well, I know Weta Workshop is still, alive and thriving. They were actually the people that made the new Power Ranger costumes for the not so good movie that came out. But so they're still, in the production business. So definitely, I would agree with you.
I think too, this might be their chance to stay competitive. They're looking for that one show that everybody's going to flock to Prime and start really competing heavily with Netflix, with your Hulu, who have their shows kind of set a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Prime is just about getting there. This may be their chance to do it.
Yeah. It's definitely right now a very good time to be a fan of entertainment and, film and just writing in general because there's more creative outlets than ever before, whereas a lot of people had to, scrimp and do whatever just to try to get a script or something in front of somebody just so they maybe had hopes of getting it greenlit. And even if they do get it greenlit, it might get bastardized along the process and it's no longer an actual good representation of what they originally, visualized. But now we got all these streaming services that are like, you know what? We're competing. We're trying to get something out there. We're trying to get the new Stranger Things. We're trying to get all these things. Sure, go for it. They're taking these risks and they're taking these gambles, and it's paying off in a lot.
And using a lot of the nostalgia. So when Lord of the Rings originally coming out some years back, and they try to bring it back now that it's been, it's classics as movie-wise, but to bring it back may draw some fans in just for the nostalgia.
And fun fact, I don't want to get too much into our professions. However, when I have students, and, okay, I need water. But anyway, I have students, and when we do some activities sometimes, I like to bring up, like, Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or something I like, like to have personal examples of that, like, I think everyone should know.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings always falls on the wayside, and, like, 2 people in the whole room knows.
That's sad. That's sad.
That's so sad. It's like, I was, like, 10 years old when, like, the first one came out, or around that age. And I'm like, I know that most of you were probably like, what? This is like, they're 6 years apart, so they're probably 3 or 4, usually. But, like, how do you not know who Gandalf is? How do you not know what the One Ring or Smeagol or Gollum is?
Yeah, I mean, they're culturally appropriated, pop culture references at this point.
Yes.
I just had...
Yeah. And see, I'm a little older than you guys, so I had it even worse. I grew up going to the library and renting the color cartoon.
Oh, God. Yeah, the Baskin... what's it called?
I forget the production company.
Something Baskin.
Yeah, I mean,
like
very...
Rankin Bass.
Yeah, there you go.
Rankin Bass, I remember that.
Very poorly animated, but very, of the time of the 70s and things like that. Pretty accurate as far as portrayal of the books and the novels and things like that. Very accurate to the source material, but just not great.
You had Leonard Nimoy singing.
Yeah.
Bilbo.
Yeah. So yeah, if you got like 5 hours to kill, definitely just YouTube that or something. 10 minutes isn't enough for you. You get the gist of it.
They're not too bad. Doug's probably underselling it.
All right, let's go ahead and get into some movie reviews because we've seen some things. I know you saw a couple more movies that I haven't seen, so I'll let you go ahead and kick it off. What have you seen lately?
Well, I'm going to have Dr. Spades talk about something he's seen recently.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen anything recently?
I did. I decided to stay in the world of cartoons a little bit. I have... always loved the adult style cartoons, so I decided to go ahead and finish the series, at least up to its current point, of BoJack Horseman. A favorite of Netflix.
Yeah, because wasn't it like on
Network?
It was on a network, and then it went to Netflix, right? Yeah.
Went to Netflix, sold it. I was not really sold on the idea originally. I passed over it for the longest time. I decided to catch up sometime over the summer and have just loved it ever since. It is really good. It is a play really right now on some of the stuff we talked about earlier about Hollywood. They kind of throw it in there, but really have a good comedic spin on it. The characters are really well done. A lot of people find it easy to kind of fall in love with the BoJack Horseman style. He's, this kind of dark side, but hidden love side kind of character.
Very complex character. Yeah,
complex character. Lots of things going on in his life, and then they use a lot of the episodes to show why he has turned into the person that he is today and how that has affected him in Hollywood. I love the implicit relationships that it has with him, kind of being like a Full House star almost. And as a that's just kind of like I love it. I love all things Full House. I love the show. As a fan, I love to make fun of it. So the fact that they kind of use that as a base for that was the show that made him famous was hilarious, and I think that it works really well. The characters that they've done, the way that they've set up the show. So that is kind of on the top of my list right now. I love adult themed cartoons. I've always said cartoons were never really a kid's thing, and its inception was always adult themed. So to see that it lives up really well to the genre.
Cool.
Well, especially because when you go back and watch some of these things that when we were kids didn't know anything about.
Oh, absolutely. Ren and Stimpy.
Didn't pick up and notice it.
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. Like this was allowed? This was a children's program?
A lot of the, even like Mufasa's death scene.
Oh, yeah, that's rough.
Or just like all the implicit things that Disney added in.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
The
animators.
The mouse will never confess to anything.
The animators are a little naughty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that Doug and I both have seen Thor Ragnarok, and we won't get into it too much because I know Mr. Space hasn't.
Yeah. Won't spoil anything for you. I enjoyed it. I assume you enjoyed it. It's very funny. A lot of people probably are going into it and not expecting it to be as funny as it is because it truly is a pure comedy. It's got action, but it's a pure comedy, buddy buddy, like space cop
Yeah,
duo kind of feeling thing.
It's got. I mean, if you know the director Taika Waititi, he comes out of the kind of indie films. He makes some indie films. He did What We Do in the Shadows.
Yep, very hilarious movie.
Hilarious mockumentary of vampires. You should definitely check out. Also, Hunt for the Wilder People with Sam Neill, who you haven't probably seen in a long time since Jurassic Park, or what can I think of it? Event Horizon, something like that. Also, he's written a couple episodes for Flight of the Conchords. That might be the one that people mostly know.
Yeah, I think he was actually an executive producer on that show as well.
Yeah.
So he's kind of behind the scenes.
So he's got that New Zealand kind of crowd behind him, and obviously those are all based in stupid comedy. And so coming into Thor Ragnarok, when I heard he was directing, I was really intrigued, but also like...
That didn't make any damn sense.
Is that going to work? Yeah.
Because you start off with Kenneth Branagh. I forget his...
with Kenneth?
Okay. I mean, a Shakespearean director.
Sure. Manchester by the sea.
And then we're finishing the Thor trilogy with a New Zealand, comedian, so to speak. I mean, it's a very stark contrast, beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah, I would definitely rank this one as the best Thor movie.
Yeah, it is hands down. My only critique was that the source... Well, not overuse. It's just the source material of which the movie lightly treads upon is super great. And very serious material. Ragnarok and the Planet Hulk storyline. I realize they can't
combine. Yeah,
can't combine them, but that was my only critique as a comic book nerd, is that I felt it was a little bit wasted of the source material. But other than that, like I said, fantastic movie. Definitely go watch it. It's killing it. #1 movie in the world right now.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure you're going to see it soon.
Yeah,
but it's. I saw it in IMAX.
Yeah,
and I know that some people think. I think it's an IMAX movie because it's visually actually really good too. Just on top of the comedy and all just the one-liners in it, because it's that buddy cop. But there's also some serious tone of the movie as well. There was
a time or two where they went serious and then they brought the comedy in a little too soon, I thought.
Yeah.
There was a couple of serious scenes where it felt undercut after they kind of punched in a one-liner. I was like, maybe another minute or two, give that scene a little more time to flesh out, and then... But either way, it was still entertaining. I got to applaud Chris Hemsworth. He was very funny in the movie. I don't naturally associate him with comedy.
He seemed to be... And I actually have heard some critiques from my friends saying it might be over comedic, and that some people have said that Chris Hemsworth in Thor is like, are they just trying to make him Robert Downey Jr.? Like, kind of in that sense.
I didn't get that impression. If anything, I was like, this is Marvel's answer to This Is Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, they essentially were playing tongue-in-cheek to their own, tropes and stereotypes that they built across the years, and they even, make mention of it across the movie. I thought he did exactly as what he needed to do, and then some.
And it's super witty. And that's what Taika Waititi did. That's what I know from him, is that director just puts a lot of wit into all these things. I mean, it's dry. So a lot of it's dry. So, but I think it's good for everybody.
Yeah, there's some great celebrity cameos that you'll see in the movie, and it'll definitely surprise you. So definitely look out for those. You'll definitely get a smile.
You'll take a double take. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
That person's in that movie.
Yeah, but it is definitely Guardians of the Galaxy comedy, and then some.
And then some, yeah. I'd say it's in my top 5.
Yeah, I could probably agree with that.
So,
what else have you seen?
I saw a double feature. I'm going to go real weird now.
Oh.
I saw Killing of a Sacred Deer. That is directed by, his name is escaping me right now, Yorgos Lanthimos. He's a Greek director.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, rolls off the tongue.
That guy. He did Dogtooth about a decade ago or so, and that movie is kind of synonymous with some gross kind of torturous things. It's a lot like Lars von Trier.
Oh,
really weird and such.
Very polarizing character for sure.
Really polarizing stuff. But he did The Lobster a couple years ago with Colin Farrell and a couple of other great characters. Yours truly, Dr. C. Brule. If you know who that is.
Yep.
John C. Reilly. He was in that movie. But he's a really odd director. He really dabbles in surrealism. And a lot of the dialogue, especially in this movie, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, also starring Colin Farrell, you see a lot of just odd dialogue and communication between the two main characters. The second kid from what's it called? Dunkirk. The kid with the who's on the boat.
Okay, I know you're talking about.
There's two kids on the boat, and I'm not going to spoil Dunkirk, but he's one of the kids on the boat, and this is his actually second performance, and he kills it as this really uneasy kind of psychopathic kind of kid.
Very unnerving every time he's on screen.
Every single time, and you don't know what's going to happen. A lot of the dialogue seems to be a mix between realistic dialogue, but also over exaggerated. Like you're talking to someone for the first time, it's really weird because you don't know where this person is going to go with the kind of the thing there is. On top of that, there's some good aspects of this movie that I really liked. A lot of Kubrick-esque camera work. And a lot of the music. The music played a big deal for this movie, and a lot of the tracking shots that were zoomed in and zoomed out just really lined up with the movie, and also just like it added a suspense element to it that really just like kept me like watching like what the hell's going on. I don't know where this is going. So I liked it a lot, but like I said, and like Doug said, it's a very polarizing film, so definitely go into it kind of expecting that. But I don't know, did you see The Lobster?
I saw The Lobster. I haven't seen this new one.
I know both of you seen The Lobster. What do you think of The Lobster?
It was a little bit different for me.
Uh-huh.
After we talked about it, I had a chance to go and view it. It was, I kind of did those back to back. I saw that one, and then I saw Nocturnal Animals.
Okay, yeah. Both odd movies.
Both odd movies. Good acting. It was different for me.
Yeah.
It was a different experience.
As my review pretty much the same. I was like, I've seen it. It's a well done movie. It just wasn't for me. Yeah.
And initially when I saw The Lobster, I thought the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
The second time I saw it, because this is a black comedy, mixed with a lot of interesting dialogue and dramatic elements. But I think I like it, and I'm not trying to go that like just because I'm a film watcher. I really enjoy this aspect. I have to be
snood.
Yeah, I have to be in a very particular mood. It's kind of like watching Requiem for a Dream. I have to be in a very, very particular mood to watch this type of movie.
You want to set aside 3 hours of your day to feel like an absolute piece of garbage that hates life.
Yeah, there's a lot of solipsistic stuff in this movie, so that's funny. And then the second thing I saw was a Japanese movie. I cannot say his name. Is it Haika Mikey? Or I'm saying that wrong, and I bastardized it. I apologize. Takashi Miike or something like that. He did 13 Assassins.
Okay.
A couple of maybe 5 or 6 years ago. He does a lot of samurai movies, and it's usually over the top in kind of Rodriguez, Tarantino kind of form.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie's called Blade of the Immortal, and it was a revenge story of this guy who pretty much is an immortal because he's an immortal samurai because even if he gets cut, he grows it back because there's this magical.
So it's like Highlander on steroids.
In a way, except there's a lot more bloodier, and he kills a crap ton of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm not
underselling it enough.
I'm not underselling the amount of people he kills. He literally kills about 500 to 600 people in this movie. I'm not exaggerating there. It's literally about 500 to 600.
So he's like a one-man army, just slaughtering fields, or is he just like an assassin?
He's slaughtering. He's getting stabbed too, and he's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Like he feels a lot of pain, and he has to fight. Tiers of these bad guys. Occasionally you have this big opening scene to set the entire plot. Plot of the story happens, and it's like 10 to 50 years later. I can't remember what. And then he looks the same, and he's immortal. And then so another thing happens, and it reminds him of his past. And then he's helping this one girl defeat this clan that's trying to take over all the dojos in Japan and trying to overtake everything. But it's super bloody, super enjoyable. It's really long though. It's like 2.5 hours. But I really enjoyed it. It was a double feature, so it was a really long night.
2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, I don't need to go to work tomorrow.
I don't need to go to work.
I can do another. All right, so historically, movies that came out this time, and not a lot going on, unfortunately. There's only 2 that I found historically that came out in this day. One, a very good one, No Country for Old Men, 2006. Yeah, caught a lot of people by surprise. Javier Bardem really has a lot of his career because of this movie. Never been so scared of was it the freaking
fire extinguisher.
Yeah, like whatever the official term of the
whatever he did to it.
Yeah,
You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
the thing he kills people with. Like it's made for killing cattle, but yeah, just as soon as he killed the first guy through the peephole, I was like, holy cow. This guy means
Holy
business.
cow.
Yeah, no pun intended. But he did a lot with that character. He had the Jim Carrey Dumb and Dumber like bowl cut going on.
His haircut was not so
Yeah,
great.
he was following those classic horror storylines where he just like slowly stalks his prey. Didn't really ever do anything out of the ordinary. And he was just very grimace, menacing, scary bad guy that you could never really wrap your head around what the hell his deal was. Mm-hmm. Very good movie. Very good job.
Also, just like the cinematography in that movie.
Very good. Yeah.
And also, there was no soundtrack.
Nope.
And
that's why there's a lot of that suspense and that just eerie feeling all the time, because there's that awkward silence that you kind of have to stew in. Yeah. Oh,
it's a
great movie.
It's a great movie, and,
Yeah.
and like that's a great year for movies, and I could go on about, and I've talked about it before.
Yeah.
So I won't.
And all right, so the other movie that came out, I'm gonna guess the only one seeing this movie just because this was one of
yeah. Challenge me.
Okay, it's called Best of the Best. Came out in 1986.
You're right.
So this is one of those cliche 80s action movies of which surrounding karate. So the only real actor that has a career outside of this movie was Eric Roberts. So Julia Roberts' brother. He's been villain in a lot of movies and franchises, TV show. This is kind of one of his earliest works, but basically it stems around an 80s USA karate team going to fight, or actually I say karate, it's Taekwondo, but everything in the 80s was called karate for appropriation. But it's, Taekwondo, they fight the national Korean Taekwondo team, and there's, historical reasons why they do it, and there's, their blood feud between two guys, one of them killed his brother, very cliche action 80s stereotypes that were, very prevalent in that time. But I grew up, watching this movie along with The Karate Kid and a bunch of other cheesy Steven Seagal movies. But
what was it called again?
It's called Best of the Best. There's actually a terrible Nintendo game that also came out with this.
Oh, wow.
It's got a whole whopping 6.4 on IMDb.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's watchable.
It's watchable.
It's watchable, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's more adult than The Karate Kid, but it's definitely not a great movie by any standard. But those are the only two movies historically that came out on this day. So let's get on to one more segment. This one's always funny. Two more segments. But this one's funny because I got a button. So we're going to get ready to talk about birthdays. And because of that, we're going to say, "Ha ha, you're old." I love pushing that button so much. Yeah.
One of the best school bullies ever.
All right, so today, 11/13, people that are born on this day. Whoopi Goldberg, 62 years old today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sister Act 1 and 2.
Sister Act 1 and 2, very popular. Yeah.
You rolled your eyes.
Well, that's where I was going. It's like she spent the last part of her career on The View. Yeah. Yeah, basically, just bunch of chatty hens. We're obviously not the demographic for The View, so don't take any stock into what we say about it.
It's not my show.
Yeah, but also today, Gerard Butler is 48 years old, which honestly, for whatever reason, I thought he was a little bit older than 48.
Yeah, he seems like he's older, and also he only done a couple of good things, buddy. He picked a lot of really bad movies lately.
Yeah, that Geostorm. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Really?"
Well, Gods of Egypt.
That
Bounty
one,
Hunter.
Anybody that signed on for Gods of Egypt and then looked around at like the casting, read through, is like a bunch of white people in here. Like,
yeah.
No one. I'm just scared. I don't understand why nobody raised their hands and said, "Hey, anybody noticing a theme here?"
Anyone notice anything?
I mean, the 60s when John Wayne was, that was ridiculous enough, but it was the 60s. It was kind of expected for the time. 2015, isn't that when that movie came out, or was it 2016?
One of those years.
Yeah, I'm not too far away. They came out, and
how did they?
It's the most whitewashed thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's not a good movie.
And how did they not see Exodus, Gods and Kings, and see like Christian Bale's? Like, you're like you're not Jewish, nor are you.
I don't get it. Obviously, there's people out there that are talented that are just not getting the respect they deserve. We see great examples of people getting pulled from nothing to have a great career. Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, they stayed true to their demographic. They didn't try to have a whitewashed cast. They brought in a bunch of unknowns, and it won Oscars. I mean, it was very successful.
His name, he's a great actor too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not unheard of. Take note, Hollywood. You don't have to whitewash everything.
Oh yeah.
And lastly, Jimmy Kimmel turns 50 years old today.
Oh.
He's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't really like too many of the late night show people as much anymore. I used to like him a little bit more. But I liked Colbert back when he was on Comedy Central more than I like him now. But Jimmy Kimmel I like.
Yeah. Never in a million years would would have guessed he would be where he is today, especially after watching The Man Show in the 90s.
Right?
I mean, long way from Girls on Trampolines and the beer chugging guy. Yeah, Adam Carolla's co-star, creator.
And he's just doing podcasts now.
Yeah.
So, I listen to him sometimes, with Joe Rogan. So,
yeah.
It's pretty good.
So, happy birthday to those three.
Happy birthday, old Pete.
Yep.
November buddies.
Yeah. So, we're going to get into questions? Questions?
So, this week, we didn't really get any questions.
Easy
which
peasy.
is fine, but I wanted to introduce a new segment, if that's okay with you guys.
Off the cuff. I like it.
Off the cuff. So I cannot claim this is my own. There's actually another movie podcast that I listen to, and I just wanted to jump in because I think it's really cool. They actually went through, and this might take a while, so we're not going to do all of it today. Obviously, I only want to do 10.
Okay.
But they went through the IMDb top 250 movies.
Okay.
And so
by overall score, I'm assuming.
By overall,
okay.
Well, just we're gonna go. What I was thinking is going down from 250 to 235, maybe. We can do 15 probably. Cut out some things and just have a few comments on some of these if we've seen them or not, or whatever. So is that cool?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, 250, and I recently seen this movie for the first time, and also second time, but also I did a review of it on the day of Groundhog Day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it belongs on there.
That's a great one with Bill Murray.
Actually in talks to do a remake, possibly, if I'm hearing that right.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, maybe not in the
What I think they should do, and this is just viral marketing at its finest, announce a sequel. Don't release a trailer, just give you a date.
Gotcha.
And you go in, you sit down, you watch it, it's Groundhog Day. It's just the first movie, all over again.
That would be so great.
Joke's on you.
That would be, if anyone is actually in Hollywood land.
Yeah, you want to make $15 million real easily?
Do that.
Take my idea.
True.
Just update it and say 2018, 2019, whatever, but it's going to be the same movie from 93. All right, next on the list is Dog Day Afternoon.
Sounds familiar.
I've never seen it, so we'll move on from that one.
Skip
from 75, but next one is a 1991 Disney animated classic, Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
I want to hear some more thoughts. Just saying,
Besides it's fantastic?
Besides fantastic, absolutely. Any memories with that movie?
I mean, I remember watching it as a child in the theater and, liking it. I remember getting the McDonald's Happy Meal toys that came with it. Great childhood memories.
I have high priority of all Disney films that were in the regular animation before they started. Most
CGI,
the CGI started.
So, the 90s ones?
Yes. Yeah. So all of those have a special place. It's definitely in my top 5, up there with Aladdin, Lion King, the other greats.
And it came out, and the newest one, the remake, is really good too.
It's fantastic. And it's very true to form, and for something that is very visually hard to, replicate on real life, they did a really good job with their CGI and special effects.
A great job with Jungle Book, Pete's Dragons.
I mean, they really haven't had a misfire yet with their live action adaptations.
So here's the Lion King soon.
That one's really going to be interesting.
Yeah. Actually, did you see the SNL?
I did see the SNL spoof. Yeah,
the SNL spoof of they were doing Lion King casting voices who could potentially be it. It's pretty funny. If anyone's looking that up, you should. All right, 247 is 12 Monkeys.
Very good.
Brad Pitt and
Bruce Willis. Yep.
Terry Gilliam movie.
Yep. Sci-fi Travels.
It's a crazy movie from '95. That's actually like the height to me of Brad Pitt. That's like Fight Club.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt. That's.
I thought you were saying that was higher than Fight Club, and I was like,
taller.
well, I don't know about that.
No. I'm like that. Those late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that was his heyday.
That was his heyday. Seven.
Mm-hmm.
Fight Club. Brad, All right, let's go to 246. Dead Poets Society. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't knock that.
I'm whispering into the mic right now to all of you. I miss Robin Williams. Yeah. Just getting some shakes of heads. Yeah. Okay, I guess we're just going to move through this real quick, I suppose. The Terminator is number 245, the first one.
Yeah.
Great movie. Any other?
It set the bar for special effects at the time. I mean, it's super cool, very original idea that obviously is expanded into a franchise. Unfortunately, they can't fucking figure it out.
Just can't bring it back. Well, we'll see with those news that we talked about a couple
weeks ago. They said they're going to make a sequel and they're going to ignore other ones and they're bringing back recurring cast members. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah,
I hope so. I only like the first two Terminators anyway.
Yeah,
it was my favorite.
D2, yeah, Terminator. Judgment Day is one of the best sequels of all time.
Yep.
Speaking of not sequels, however, one of the best in the franchises, usually the first movie, and that's the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
I remember explicitly when this movie came out.
Yeah.
I was only 11 years old. I remember because my sister was like hardcore into gymnastics at the time, and I remember I watched it in theaters. I liked it a lot. It reminded me of the first Disney movie that kind of dabbled in adult themes a little bit. And when I say adult themes, I'm sure there was movies prior to that, but I mean like PG-13.
Yeah, people are fighting and killing and living that pirate life. They maybe weren't raping and pillaging as much, but
and they made it after a ride.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
A ride that has like 12 lines of dialogue. So it's amazing they made a 2.5-hour movie that spanned into a 5-film franchise.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just remember going to, like I was saying, that gymnastic meets for my sister, and I had a portable DVD player at the time.
No, rich kid.
Oh, hey. My mom got it for all of us one Christmas, and yes, I'm a rich kid. Poor story, but I remember I watched that movie because I didn't want to go watch my sister do gymnastics. I don't care at 11 years old. I don't give a shit. I went in the car and just watched Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. And I remember, since I was there for so long, I literally watched every single extra DVD aspect of that.
All the bonus features and everything?
All the bonus things of it. So I remember all the Jerry Bruckheimer doing a great score as well. So
have either of you been on the actual ride?
Yeah. I don't remember much.
Let's say there's nothing to remember. I mean, they've expanded it over the years, but when I went it was maybe 5 years ago, it was really just a dark, dank boat ride through some swampy looking water with some.
Have they not added more?
They have now, but when I went a couple years ago, it was just the same short little trip and some crappy animatronics and off you go. Hey, make sure you stop by the merchandise booth.
Yeah. You guys remember Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom?
Yeah.
Pick up your stuff.
Yeah.
All right, 243 is actually, I think this is a little low on the list in my opinion, but Jaws.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that, as an overall movie, yeah, I can see why it's lower on the list just because it's not the greatest dialogue, but I mean, for the impact it had on society, like people didn't go to the water for years.
This is a horror movie.
Yeah.
It is a horror movie. Like,
I grew up in Houston, so we had Galveston Bay and everything like that. So I had an actual tangible fear of being eaten by a shark. But even when we moved up here in Missouri, I was still fucking afraid of sharks, even though there's no way I'm going to get eaten by a shark in Table Rock Bay. No. It's not an issue, but in your head as a child, you're scarred for life.
Yes. Maybe a giant catfish.
Yeah.
But I know that we have a colleague that's his favorite movie of all time. Butch Simmons.
Okay.
He thinks it's one of the best movies ever, and I think it's an iconic poster as well. Oh, yeah. That poster is beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jaws. Do you have anything to say about Jaws?
I loved it. It definitely.
Would they make 2 sequels?
Oh,
2, 3?
more than that.
I can't remember if they made more than 3. I knew 3 for sure.
They
But
definitely made more than 3. We're just going to talk about the original Jaws.
Yeah. Next!
Those are bad. Very bad. I don't think either of you have seen this, but I have this on my list. Number 242 is Diabolique, which is a foreign film. And since both shook their heads,
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going past that. Another one, I want to see this. I know this is on my list as well. 241 is The Battle of Algiers. It's a war movie, so we'll move on from there. We're getting to the old ones right now.
Mm-hmm.
The next, well, I guess we're just going to skip a lot of these. Grapes of Wrath, I'm just going to say them.
Fantastic.
400 Blues, 400 Blues. 239 is The 400 Belows, 59. 238 is The Best Years of Our Lives. I feel like I've seen that. 237 is Touch of Evil. 236 is The Maltese Falcon.
Yep.
I know about that one. 235 is Mary and Max, which I've never seen. It came out in 2009. You know about that? All right, 234 is Persona. Do you know about that? That's Ingmar Bergman.
Yes. That's what I need names and a poster.
Yeah. I'm just going to get down. 233 is 8.5. 232 is Infernal Affairs. That's, I want to say Hong Kong movie.
Yeah.
They did a
Redo
something, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
231 is Amores Perros, which is Alejandro's Iñárritu's first movie. Birdman.
Yeah.
And Revenant.
Aware of his new work. I wasn't aware of his first movie.
Apparently it's a really great movie. 230 is Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind. Did you ever watch any Miyazaki films?
Nope.
229, Paris, Texas?
Yep.
I haven't seen Paris, Texas.
Yep.
You?
Criterion.
There's a lot of these are Criterion.
Yeah.
228 is La Haine, which is a French movie. 227 is Gandhi, which I just recently got.
Fantastic.
I haven't seen it, but I guess, Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was drawing a blank on his name. I was going to say Iron Man, Mandarin. But,
no, not the real Mandarin.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
How is it?
It's very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it on TV.
It's depressing. But
Depressing, yeah. All right, we'll go down to 225 and then we'll stop.
Yep.
Number 226 is Network, which is something I really want to see. I've heard it's a lot like Casino. It's Sidney Lumet who directs it. Faye Dunaway, Peter Finch, Robert Duvall's in it.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I'm aware of it.
And then 225, another movie I just picked up, and we were talking about him earlier, Daniel Day-Lewis, In the Name of the Father.
Yep.
Which I've never seen.
It's a good one.
Also really good.
I said Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't do bad movies.
Yeah. So we'll get down to the better movies after that. I just wanted to start that.
All I want to know is where on the list is Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure?
We'll get there. I don't think Bogus Adventure is going to make it. I think
Son of a bitch.
Excellent Adventure is definitely a much better movie.
Yeah. All right, that does it for this week's episode. I want to appreciate our guests. Any last words you guys want to say?
This is fantastic. I listen to every episode, so it's good to be here.
We're glad to have you. Yeah. Thanks. Last words? Shout out? Anything?
I want to thank Stephen for coming on. He's listened to me ramble in his office a couple of times, just lots of different topics and movies, and really enjoys my YouTube channel, which, by the way, I've just reached 200 subscribers. I'm about to get there. I think I'm at 198, so I'm not literally there yet, but I did a video last night that I put up that I'm going to be doing some kind of Q&A. If you go on my YouTube channel, you can go to that video and then put your comments down there below, and I will be doing an update video. Yeah, and I'll be doing a response sometime soon, where I'll probably have a 30 to 40 minute response video of me answering a lot of questions. You can ask me any questions about movies, television,